Now at 6, a new deadline looms for a first-of-its-kind strike in Oregon.
I think the overall sense is that things are progressing in a positive direction.
Plus, where officials are sounding the alarm about more potential measles exposures.
When people hear measles, they just think ration fever.
Then, viral moments from March Madness at Moda, but in this case, from some on the sidelines, not on the court.
I was like, they rely so heavy on these guards. If they overlook us, we can win, and that's exactly what happened.
And later, just in time for spring break, the new campaign aimed at having you blend in on the coast.
We just like to see them be respectful and polite to everybody and take care of our beaches and everything and enjoy themselves, you know.
But first, to a live look from our Wells Fargo Skycam over the Rose City. A little bit overcast right now on this first day of spring, where we've also seen some light scattered showers throughout the day. Thanks for joining us. I'm Christine Pinawala.
And I'm David Molko, along with Chief Meteorologist Matt Zafino, as we look ahead to the first weekend of the new season and spring break for most of Oregon. Happy Friday, Matt.
Thanks, David. Yeah, we're getting off to a wet start. Here's the coast right now, our Lincoln City Skycam. The rain is falling, 54 degrees, but it's not very windy, and this rain is not long for our spring break. It's really just tonight. You can see the band that's over Portland right now. It's fairly solid, but it's mainly light rain, and when I zoom out, you can see it's a really limited supply of rainfall. There's nothing to the north and west. There's not much anything to the south and east either. So once this continues, it is moving south and east. Once it clears out of the Portland area, we're done with rain for the first weekend of spring and spring break. The rainfall, such as it is, it's been super light. Hardly anything measurable in town except Vancouver, 1/100th of an inch. The rain on the coast has been a little bit more substantial, as you would expect, but even there, it's going to clear out later on tonight. We made 62 today. We'll cool off a bit in the wake of this cold front moving on out, but all in all, it's going to be a really good start to spring break once we get through the showers tonight, guys.
Okay, thank you so much, Matt.
Well, TikTok, we are 10 days into a strike by teachers and other workers at Portland Community College.
And administrators are now warning if they don't reach a deal soon, they'll have to push back the start of the spring quarter. Evan Watson is here now with that update. Evan.
Portland Community College leaders here are adding new urgency to these negotiations, which is a really interesting tactic that we're seeing right now, saying that they need an agreement with the unions by Monday to start the spring term on time. The ongoing strike is the first in school history. Most classes have been canceled. Normally, students would be taking final exams right now and signing up for spring classes. It is the first day of spring, after all. If the standoff goes past Monday, the college warns that financial aid payments to students could be delayed, part of complying with federal rules. A PCC administrator says he's optimistic the sides will find a solution soon.
Because the clock is ticking, we have to start planning for extended scenarios. I think the overall sense is that things are progressing in a positive direction and that, hopefully this Monday deadline is something we don't have to worry about.
The unions, representing more than 2,000 educators and staff members, are striking for better pay, saying the university is failing to keep up with cost of living adjustments and inflation. PCC says its budget is tight and state support is flattening. If no agreement is reached tonight, bargaining teams are expected to continue negotiating over this weekend. A union source tells me they also feel an urgency to start the spring term on time, but so far the proposals from management, in their view, keep falling short. Christine?
Evan Watson reporting. Thank you, Evan. In your headlines, state prosecutors are now investigating a case involving a Clark County Sheriff's deputy who stabbed and killed a man. Washington's Office of Independent Investigations, or OII, has released its report on what happened during a DUI investigation in Ridgefield. Last May, Deputy Bryson Layton told the Clark County Sheriff's Office that he stabbed Mark Fogel multiple times after Fogel started fighting him and tried to take the deputy's gun. Now, prosecutors will go over the report and decide if Deputy Layton will face any charges.
The NTSB is investigating what appears to be a near collision at Newark International Airport involving an Alaska Airlines flight from Portland. Authorities say the Alaska plane was on approach Tuesday night when controllers ordered the pilots to go around. They say at the same time a FedEx 777 had been cleared to land on an intersecting runway. The Alaska jet climbed and cleared the other jet apparently by only a few hundred feet. No one was hurt.
Investigators say a driver will face DUI charges after slamming into the back of a Washington State Patrol car earlier this morning. Troopers say they were responding to a semi that had run off the road and was blocking the left 2 lanes of northbound I-5 in Cowlitz County. It had only been a few minutes when a car apparently slammed into the back of one of the patrol vehicles, pushing that car into another patrol vehicle. The driver was life-flighted to Peace Health Southwest with serious injuries. A trooper who was inside their car during the crash was not hurt.
The Multnomah County Sheriff's Office is changing some of its booking policies and procedures as part of a lawsuit settlement. That's after women who were arrested during a pro-Palestine demonstration in 2024 were forced to remove their hijabs when they were booked and photographed. The suit alleges the plaintiffs were ordered to keep them off in view of male officers and in violation of their faith. The plaintiffs also received $30,000 as part of the settlement.
We've got 2 months until a statewide vote over a contentious gas tax hike in Oregon. And new this evening, a federal court has denied an emergency relief motion in a lawsuit trying to block the quick vote. Republican State Representative Ed Deal and others filed the suit, claiming citizens did not have enough time to participate in crafting the voter pamphlet, which is created for each measure on the ballot. Deal's spokesperson says normally citizens have 50 days to submit arguments they want included, but only had 10 days for this measure. That's because the legislature voted to move the transportation tax vote from November to the May election. They wanted the judge to order Oregon Secretary of State to include those arguments in the voter pamphlet, but that was denied. However, the plaintiffs have promised to pursue further legal action.
In health headlines this evening, officials are warning about new potential measles exposures.
This time in Salem. That's where we find Jake Holter with the latest.
We're here at Salem Health Hospital, which is one of those locations the Oregon Health Authority has flagged as a measles exposure location. If you were in the emergency room waiting area between 6:10 and 8:30 this past Monday night, OHA is urging you to talk to your healthcare provider. The other measles exposure location identified is the second floor of the Kaiser Permanente Skyline Medical Office. This exposure period between 10:30 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. on Friday, March 13th. Doctors say after someone with measles leaves a room, the virus can linger in the air for up to 2 hours afterward, which is why the timeframes for exposure are hours long. OHA says that your healthcare provider can determine whether you are immune based on your vaccination record, age, or laboratory evidence of prior infection.
If you were exposed to the virus, there's a short window where you can get immunized and actually prevent disease. And this is why we issue these notifications from public health.
And public health officials are urging people to call their healthcare provider if they think they've been exposed, as showing up in person to say a waiting room can create yet another exposure event. Back to you.
It's a Cinderella story in Portland, Oregon.
Complete with the fairy godmother, apparently. They say anything can happen during March Madness, and for High Point University, that meant a stunning victory.
And for those 2 student broadcasters, a moment they will never forget. Let's bring in our Devin Haskins now. Devin, a big deal that this team even made it this far.
Yeah, it was only the team's second tournament appearance, most likely their biggest win so far in school's history. 2 student broadcasters with a front row seat to the game had possibly the call of their career.
To Anderson, driving, step back. In circles now, Johnson catch and shoot.
A high point for High Point University.
That's what they needed. Timeout. Timeout. Portland, do you believe it?
For student radio broadcasters Jimmy Rosselli and Griffin Wright, it is a dream job at the best time during March Madness.
Being broadcasters is obviously our passion, it's our love, and being able to do it with my best friend is a dream come true. It's a blessing.
Jimmy does the play-by-play, Griffin covers the color commentary.
It's not a professional broadcast. It's just 2 dudes watching basketball at some points.
In only their second appearance, 12-seed High Point University was matched up against 5-seed Wisconsin.
It's March. That's what it is, right? The David versus Goliath matchups is why you watch it.
They were hoping it wouldn't be a repeat of last year after losing in the first round to Purdue.
So the expectation for this year was a little different. And it's not a feeling that me and Jim ever wanted to feel again.
With just over a minute left in the game, the Panthers were down by 4. A three-point shot brought them within one, then a layup put them ahead.
I really can't remember a lot about it because it was just so much emotion going through. It was sad, anxious, angry, amazingly happy, and then relief.
They launched down court. Anderson gets it. Throw on the glass slipper. It's a Cinderella story in Portland, Oregon.
It was a line set at the perfect time.
I try to have one line that I know I want to say, and then the rest I try and just kind of let come out in the moment because I want to make sure the passion is felt.
For Jimmy and Griffin, it's their last dance together as student broadcasters. Griffin will graduate this year. Jimmy has another to go. And however it ends, they wouldn't have it any other way.
I thought going into yesterday that it was going to be my last game ever broadcast with my best friend. And to see us win, and we get one more day out of it, and hopefully many more.
For the first time in program history, High Point breaks through. We will see you in the round of 32.
I love this guy, and without him, none of this would have happened.
High Point plays again on Saturday, and we'll go up against another tough opponent, number 4 seed, Arkansas. David.
Oh, feeling good about this one. I can't wait to see what happens and what they do in the next game. Thanks, Devin.
Yep.